second subject tonight, Mark?
Well, this is Constitutional Corner, and it's about the First Amendment right to vote and the right to redress the government for grievances and kind of old-fashioned stuff that they did a couple hundred years ago that doesn't really apply anymore.
Whoa. You're trying to tell me the Constitution doesn't apply anymore?
Well, that was written by a bunch of old white guys, and some of them had slaves, or it's all kind of a racist old white guy.
Oh, the old guy racist argument.
Yeah, so it's an old racist, old-fashioned, that doesn't really matter much.
Yeah, but
anymore.
I don't understand. What does that mean to the application of the Constitution? We base our nation on law.
Well,
the ultimate law is the Constitution.
Used to, but not anymore. They've taken care of that. They have a new thing. It's called the IRS, and the IRS now is kind of in charge of elections and in charge of everything. And they kind of decide who votes and who doesn't vote. And so you've got like about half the country thinks that the IRS conspired with Obama to rig the 2012 elections.
Well, why would they even believe that?
Well, it's basically it's a phony scandal. Apparently, there's not a smidgen of evidence. And according to Lois Lerner, well, we really don't know. Because
well, wait a minute. Lois Lerner took the fifth.
Well, yeah, but she just took the fifth. That's another one of those crazy constitutional things.
Oh, that's by accident.
Yeah,
she took the fifth.
Yeah, she took the fifth.
Okay.
But,
wait a minute. She can take the fifth, but the rest of us can't rely on the Constitution. Is that where we're going with this one?
Okay. So anyway, what the IRS did is that they took anyone who opposed. They started about 2010, 2011.
Oh, you mean right after the Tea Party was so effective at electing Republicans for the House of Representatives and the Senate?
Well, we don't really call them Republicans. What the president has called them, most recently he called them kidnappers.
Kidnappers?
Well, yeah, they kidnapped the government.
Who did they kidnap?
They kidnapped the government.
How?
Because they didn't want to fund Obamacare, so that was kidnapping.
Oh, well, wait a minute. That's funny because Obamacare was passed in 2008, at the end of 2008, right after he became president, when he had both the Democratic Senate and the Democratic House, and he had 2 years to do whatever he felt like, and he did. So they passed Obamacare. Now, how could the Republicans do anything to change that?
Well, they had a thing where they wanted to defund part of it or delay it, and he said, well, these people...
Well, wait a minute. Who wanted to delay it?
It was Tea Partiers, or these people, but basically the kidnappers.
The kidnappers?
The kidnappers. And so
yeah, but I understand that the Obamacare is failing, so it's more the Democrats that are trying to kidnap it.
Well, no, now the Obama itself is delaying. But at that point, they said, okay, you guys, if you try to delay Obamacare, we're going to shut down the government and not give people a Social Security test, and you guys are kidnappers, and you know what the penalty for kidnapping is?
No, I don't.
Well, it's life imprisonment or the death penalty. So...
Are you trying to tell me that the whole legislative branch of the government is going to be locked up in life in prison because allegedly we're going to defund Obamacare?
Well, I'm just saying that, when you have the head of the central government denouncing you as something that's, a kidnapper, that's pretty serious. And so what happened was they decided that the best way to make sure the central government ran smoothly was to prevent these kind of non-conformists, these terrible people. There was like like Romney donors, there was conservative groups, religious groups, gun rights groups, Tea Party groups, and what they had the 501c4.
501c4s.
And so there was like a bunch of these that they investigated really closely and asked them, personal details, who's your donors and everything. And then what they did is they took that information. And they've just, in last Thanksgiving, just in last November, then they developed new rules based on this information to exclude them from the campaign
That's
process.
wholly unconstitutional.
Look, well, the thing is, not anymore, because there's not
Not
really
anymore.
Yeah, there's not really. See, in that 2012 election, what they did is they excluded about 10 to 30% of the electorate, about 10 or 20 million people, or 30 million people from the electorate. Wanted by about 4%. So a lot of people are saying, well, geez, the rigging of the election resulted in 10 to 30 million people not really beginning to be involved.
The opportunity to
vote or be involved in the political process. You only won by like that 4%, about whatever it was. And so they're saying, well, that election was rigged. And so in response, they said, okay, that was a terrible thing. We're going to get to the bottom of this. But then when they got to the bottom of it, they found like, well, it's too confusing really to figure out. So we're probably just going to do what we did before, but more pervasively now.
So, but now we're going to just make new law that says these 501c4s are just
No,
not
we don't
going to
make
exist.
laws anymore. There's no more laws because there's no more
What do you mean
constitution.
there's no more laws?
We don't do laws anymore because that's like a silly old constitutional thing.
Is that all part of the old white men?
Yes,
the old white men
yeah,
thing.
old white men.
We can't have law.
Now you just see they have rules.
They have rules.
And orders.
Oh.
And executive orders and fiat.
Oh,
but
I see.
It's not like you have like the legislative branch passes something and the president signs it. The Congress is not really
Well,
involved
isn't
in this
this like
anymore.
when Marie Antoinette says "off with their heads" because let them eat cake? I'm a little missing here where this government is going. Where is this government going, Mark?
Well, so anyway, what happened just recently is that they had the Justice Department prosecutor, Barbara Bossman. She contributed about, $6,750 to 2012 Obama campaign. And she was put in charge of investigating whether the IRS had rigged or conspired with Obama to
Well,
rig
wait a
the
minute.
election.
That's a conflict of interest.
Not legally, no.
No, not legally.
No, the holder has he can make that appointment.
You know, the Attorney General's office has about, at their fingertips, 17,000 attorneys they can choose from. Why they pick Bossman?
Well, they probably thought she was the best qualified. And then what she did...
the best qualified to rig the investigation.
And so what she did is she went in there and talked to the IRS people, and they said, well, nothing happened. And so she came to the conclusion that nothing happened. And
But wait a minute, did she talk to the people at the 501c4s? Did she talk to any of them?
Those people are like hooligans and kidnappers and miscreants.
Oh, but she would never talk to them.
So, yeah, there was no point in talking to them.
In fact, from what I understand from the investigation, there was absolutely no one talked to that were part of the targeting of the IRS. Absolutely not one person was talked to.
I would say the alleged victims were not the kind of people that the new government talks to.
The new government?
Yeah, the central government doesn't.
Oh, the central government.
The central government doesn't worry about that kind of stuff anymore. So
should we be looking behind this curtain to see if the central government's right here, Mark? Or what are we talking about here?
No, but the beautiful thing is that, and so for all this thing that's worked out so well for the IRS, how they got involved and rigging the election and going against political opponents of Obama, they got a $62 million in bonuses.
Who did? The IRS?
Yeah. And
Whoa,
also,
these are the bonuses that were taken away by Wolfel, the guy that took over for Lerner.
No.
He took away those bonuses.
No, you got the $16 million. And also, guess what Lerner got? Lois Lerner, the one who took the fifth.
Yeah.
He was in charge of the whole...
What did she get?
She got $42,000 bonus.
Well, that's great, but she never gave up, she never gave up her email account, any of her emails that had anything to do with this. You know that, number one. Number two, she never testified under anything other than the Fifth Amendment. And
Well,
in
she
fact,
testified a little bit, yeah.
And in fact, right now, she should be granted immunity under penalty of perjury.
No, they should do it. But the other thing, that would take Holder to do a special prosecutor.
Holder?
Which is probably not going to
Yeah,
happen.
well, the only thing Holder wants to do is make sure everyone gets out of Gitmo because his ex-law firm represents them all.
But the thing about it, the president's half-brother had a 501c4.
I understood it was cleared in 30 days.
No problem. That
And on that happy note, let's let Barack's half-brother go with a 501c4. What's our last...